Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? No Rules Friday on the show. BT Unleashed. What's going on? Hopefully everybody is doing well. We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got about 5 or 6 things to get to. No Rules Friday also means we're jumping around a lot. So get those comments cooking. And I got to get to J-Rod out of the shoot here because you want to talk about, I mean, this guy was in a raw mood. I said hello to him down the line this morning, just kind of, 15, 20 minutes ago. We're getting ready for the show. Had done our texting and everything, but obviously setting up the visual element. And this guy I've never seen him like this. You okay?
No, I mean, I thought I was watching the third installment of Weekend at Bernie's last night every time Vucevic stepped in the game.
Oh, you didn't like those Celtics last night, huh?
They're carrying around a freaking dead body with them. But no excuses for last night. No, you know what? The Jaylen Brown, no excuse. But I thought we were done with Enes Kanter. I thought we were done with Greg Monroe. I guess
Greg
not.
Monroe.
I guess not. I guess
Georgetown.
not.
All right, we'll get back to that. I know you got a lot to rip on. It was a really good game. So we'll do a little Knicks Celtics. Obviously, a couple of baseball items for you. It's the Masters. I saw a study as well. I saw this late last night on the favorite sports day of the year for sports fans. And it just confused me. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But first up, obviously, today's show brought to you sponsored by my good friends at Sullivan Papain, one of New York's best personal injury law firms, according to U.S. News and World Report. You can find Sullivan online at triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com. And, of course, the newest recruit in the BT Unleashed family. Let's give it up. There you go. Premio sausage. Great meals start with great ingredients. Premio delivers flavor you can rely on. Premio sausage, the way sausage should be. Find them at premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. All right, so a week ago today, I was telling you guys about the first pitch out in Texas, getting ready for that. We've got the video, all right? J-Rod, you ready to roll this through, and then we'll get into the show here? We've got the video, right? You've got the whole thing?
Yep.
All right, let's roll it. Leave my mic open so in case I want to comment. Are you able to do that or no?
I cannot do that.
I didn't think you could. Okay.
Yeah, it does the volume for the video, and then after you can comment.
Okay, all right, all good. Let's roll it. Let's see what happened. This was Sunday in Texas, Easter Sunday, first pitch. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, throwing out the first pitch for today's game. He is an Emmy Award-winning national sports broadcaster, and he's just launched his YouTube channel at BT Unleashed. Please welcome to the mound, Brandon Tierney. Brandon, when you're ready, toss your first pitch to Travis Jankowski.
There you go. So that was a lot of fun there.
Awesome.
You can see I licked my hands twice. I told you the story, how I was in my head about how the ball was so slick. So you saw that. I told you I jumped over the line, a little skip over the line. I can't challenge the baseball gods there. Janikowski was great. You can see he had to jump up a little bit to his left and keep that thing from hammering against the screen. And I didn't even realize this because when you're doing something like that, you're thinking about so many things. I was thinking about not messing up, really, but
sure.
I love how they played the music to make me feel at home. A little Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, that was sick.
Travolta in the house.
That was awesome at the end.
Very, very good. So I had a blast doing that. And thank you once again to the Texas Rangers and all the hospitality, not only for me, but really for my entire family. All right, so last night's Knicks game, I want to spend a ton of time on it because I got a lot of things we want to do here. That was a good game. That's the kind of high-level game that if we got games like that more often than not, we would not be complaining about the NBA the way that we do. Now, the Knicks wound up on the right side of it. For me, it doesn't change. Number one, no Jaylen Brown. That's a big, but the guy's phenomenal. He's top 10 player in the NBA. So that obviously changes the way the Celtics look, but it had a high level of intensity, a high level of shot making in the fourth quarter. I mean, they were exchanging bombs. Obviously, Josh Hart with a couple of clutch threes. And from my point of view, I know J-Rod's ticked off from the Celtics point of view. I really like seeing Jalen Brunson become the facilitator. And you saw a little bit more of that last night, and you saw a little bit more of the pick and the roll and the relationship with Karl Anthony Towns. I still, listen, I'm not going to change my tune here until I have to, which I will happily do. I still don't think they're a championship team, but, Mike Brown now has 52 wins with 2 games to go, which is the second most in the last 21 years. Remember, Mike Woodson had 54 back with Carmelo and Amari and Tyson Chandler and Jason Kidd, that crew. He's not going to get to that because there's only 2 games to go, but he did win at least one more game than Tom Thibodeau did last year. What does that mean? Well, I mean, symbolically, maybe a little something. I don't invest a whole lot in that because the measurement for any Knicks coach moving forward is, given the roster that they have and how they're expected to be one of the better teams in the NBA, it's all about getting past the point that you were at a year ago, which would mean getting to the NBA Finals and eventually winning a championship. But it was a fun game. I really thought they looked good. They looked crisp. They looked pretty connected. I thought the shot distribution, which was something I talked about early in yesterday's show, where too many times this year, it's just been maddeningly one-sided where, Brunson's taken 21 or 22 shots, and then Cat has like 7 or 8, and it's just all over the map. I actually thought that last night, now you're going to have to react to how defenses play you, and in the playoffs, it's a lot more game-specific, clearly, but I kind of like that. I thought Brunson had enough shots. I thought Cat had enough shots. Now, I don't usually want to see Josh Hart take 15 shots, but when you're making a highlight, I think he had 10 out of 15. That's good in my book. Knicks look good. Knicks get the win. Celtics lose. And if J-Rod had any more that he needed to get out, a cathartic moment here on the show, by all means, go for it. I don't know why, though, Jay, and I'll give you free reign to do whatever you want. Like, I get it. You're pissed off. You wanted to win the game. But if I'm you, and I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, Jason Tatum has looked very explosive since he's returned. He's played a lot of minutes.
Sure.
You didn't have Jaylen Brown, so
I don't know. Honestly,
go ahead. I appreciate the fandom, but I'm a little surprised you're so ornery today there, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is more so around the lines of, okay, yes, Jaylen Brown's out, and yes, Tatum's looking good. He comes back. He's kind of Pritchard was kind of the main focus of the offense last night, honestly. But Tatum was obviously up there. He was that guy. The taste in my mouth after, what did we fall? Did we fall all 4 games this season to you guys? Or
was it 3? Did you guys get 1?
Maybe we got 1. I don't like how that feels going into the playoffs. I really don't.
All
and
right.
especially after Vucevic is playing last night. Like, what that showed me was we would have been better off never trading for him, keeping Anthony Simons, because, man, you think about it there, Anthony Simons would have had a much better chance of guarding Josh Hart. Obviously, Vucevic isn't the one supposed to be guarding Josh Hart, but any of our backup centers would have had a better job. It's just like these slow-footed centers drive me nuts. I mean, because it's like, if you can't play perimeter defense in the what's the point nowadays? That's
a good point.
So,
you got to be able to move your feet. You got to be, you got to be able to move around screens and pursue people 25 feet away from the rim. I agree. Get your hand up. At least contest the shot. I hear you on that.
My silver lining, though, like you're saying, from this game is Josh Hart. He's like, even though he does typically play the Celtics pretty well, he usually does not go that ballistic from 3-point.
No.
What he hit 4 in the fourth quarter or something like that?
I mean, he hit 10 out of 15 shots.
Quarter.
That is not Josh Hart. And that's not a recipe. That's why I'm not going nuts here. Listen, I'd always rather win than lose. But when Josh Hart, listen, I don't know that there'll be a game all throughout the playoffs where Josh Hart takes that many shots.
No.
I really don't think he's going to take 15 the rest of the way. And I'd be very surprised, happily surprised, pleasantly surprised if he hits that many threes. And they were clutch. But the one thing about the Knicks team, they were talking about it during the broadcast, like their clutch numbers, they're the most clutch team in the NBA in terms of fourth quarter, deeper dive, analytical, statistical stuff. So a lot of that is rooted around Brunson. And the more that Jalen Brunson can get his guys involved when they run that second defender his way, which you're going to, because he's the head of the snake, you cut off Jalen Brunson, you in essence end the Knicks. And it seems like he's made some adjustments. Mike Brown's trying to make some adjustments. Alvarado did not play last night. And
I saw that.
Yeah. So he said, this is our playoff rotation. So he moved away from him. He had a chance. He played early, early when he first got here. I don't love that because to me, Jose Alvarado's the kind of player that's going to light up the garden. I don't care if he's 0 for 8. He's going to stick a big three. He's going to make a big steal. He's going to do something to get that place, head over heels with energy. So I don't love that, but we'll see how it plays out. And listen, I'm sorry you lost last night. What do you want me to tell you, man?
Also, I don't know. This is also just a random off thought. I don't know if you caught this while watching.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just like the playoff-esque environment of the game, but it really felt like dudes were just like on the floor every 10 seconds. Like that was the most jump balls I've seen in a regular season game in I don't know how long. Like there were probably 5 or 6 just jump balls off of the little struggle right there. So
I have become, and I did notice that. And listen, there was a ratcheted up amount of intensity. That's good. The jump ball to me has maybe become like the bane of my sporting existence. Because, when you watch and when you coach, as I do, so many youth basketball games, amount of jump balls it's mad, especially with the girls. You're talking like 7-6 rec game or 8-5 rec game, or, hey, we had a shootout tonight. We won 12-9 or we lost 12-11, whatever it might be. There's so many tie-ups, and so because the kids at that age, they the boys a little bit more, not the stereotype, but the boys, they're also a year older. My son is and his crew, so they're a little bit more, ripping the ball out and trying to extend the play. But the referees, and I get it, it's rec and it's lower, it's mid-level travel ball, but they don't let the play out. So the moment somebody gets that second hand on it, there's the whistle, alternating possession. I can't stand the jump ball. It drives me nuts. No, but you're right. There was a lot of them last night. Let's start banging in a lot of these. It is a No Rules Friday on the show. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Tyson Gates, 47-26. Tyson, what's going on? Great toss, BT. Had a little juice on it. What was the conversation with the catcher at the end of the pitch? Big fan. Well, I appreciate that, Tyson. I actually spoke about this a little bit yesterday. So first, I forgot that the mascot was there. Then the mascot, I'm like, wow, this big horse is next to me. And I was, it's hard to describe when you're really in the moment. You try to take it in, and some people hit me up and they're like, man, why'd you rush it? I'm like, I don't know. And the Rangers were so good about this. They're like the woman, like, who sets up the logistics of the day, the national anthem singer and the cheerleaders. They've got cheerleaders out there. So it's all timed out. There's a whole menu of things that she's got to follow. And it's literally timed out to the second, so she has to be on top of it, which she was. And I remember distinctly, even though my head was like, the ball's slippery. Oh, there's 30,000 people. Oh, don't mess up. You don't fall if you go to the slope. All those things you think about. I remember her saying, very clearly twice, early and then right before I went out, take your time, soak in the moment. And I had this whole thing in my mind planned, like, I was going to salute everybody. I was going to try to say Happy Easter so that even though you couldn't hear me, you could see me mouth it on the Jumbotron. I was going to ham it up a little bit. And then you get out there, like, let's just get this moving here. So, it's like a lot of things in life, where so many good things go so fast, and it is really hard to enjoy the moment. I know I talk about golf a lot, and not that much in terms of thoroughly going through my rounds, which nobody cares about. But I have a lot of golf analogies, and I think it applies here as well. Like, I played the other day for the first time. I don't get mad anymore because I'm just nowhere near good enough to get mad at all. I'm just happy my back, which has been surgically repaired, is good, and I can play whatever. So I'm grateful for that. But like, think about the couple of good shots you hit on the golf course, if you're a relative hack like me, and how, you enjoy it for a second, but then it dissipates. But then think about all the bad shots, and how you kind of shuffling your feet a little bit, or maybe some of you still get really angry, throw a club, get over it. Come on, curse, whatever you do, kind of isolate yourself from your buddies for a little bit. Like, it's just hard. No matter how much you try to really, truly soak in and enjoy the moment, there's a lot of things going on. And just to answer the rest of that question, what I said to Janikowski, who's the first base coach, he was catching that. He played in the bigs for about 10 or 11 years, bounced around, fourth outfielder type, good energy guy, good glove, good wheels, good clubhouse dude, as I said. He's now the first base coach for the Rangers. He played for the Mets for a year, so a lot of New York fans will remember him. I think he was here in 2022. I think it was 2022. And I just told him exactly. I said, dude, thanks for saving me, man. That's exactly what I told him. And then what he told me was, I'm like, man, I was a little nervous. I didn't think I would be. And he said, I was nervous. He's like, I saw you go up there. And I'm like, it's a pretty big dude. It looks like he's going to throw a heater, which I did. There was some velo on it. Horrible throw in terms of accuracy, but I did throw it pretty hard. And he was telling me that he was nervous. I was telling him that I was nervous. And then really, I just thanked him for saving me from being a Baba Booey or, 50 Cent, somebody that just, guys spiking balls. I mean, I didn't think that would happen, but it's just crazy how, forget about the first pitch for a moment, but things that you do inflexively, like without even thinking about it, when there's a little bit of pressure, like the power of the brain, even if it's internalized pressure, like, trust me, most of the people in the stadium, the overwhelming majority of people in the stadium, number one, didn't know who I was. Now they do, which is a great thing. And that's why I'm very thankful to the Rangers for that. But amongst other reasons, the hospitality, nobody really knew me. And number two, nobody really cared if I threw a ball or a strike. It's not like they're out there, this guy looked good. Maybe the Rangers could sign him, put him in Double-A, and see if he's good enough to move up the ranks. There's stuff in their faces. They're enjoying Easter Sunday. They're with their families. They're with their friends. But in your mind, and in this case, in my mind, you're like, oh my God, all eyes on me here. Don't butcher it. So that was a lot of fun. And again, I wanted to get that video to you. My God, I didn't even notice the music. The Saturday Night Fever music, phenomenal. We got New York locker room media, 7 out of 10 on the throw, BT. At least you launched it, didn't spike it like 50. Yeah. I mean, 7 out of 10. Now, I think that's a little low. I mean, it depends what the grading mechanism is. Now, if you're going to penalize me a couple of points, which, by the way, I totally understand, it was nowhere near a strike. So if you want to deduct 3 points right away, okay, that's a fair measurement. It did have some juice. The windup looked like I played a little bit, like I had a little bit of a baseball background. I thought I had pretty good presence going out there, jumping over the line, waving to people, yucking it up with Janikowski and eventually the mascot. So, but, 7 out of 10, is that a fair depiction there, J-Rob? Why don't you give me, and I won't get mad, that, give me your honor. If it's lower than 7, by all means, lay
No,
on.
it wouldn't be lower than 7 because at least it's still like a solid throw. Like lower than 7 would be like you're, at the level where
one of the,
I don't know, like
played.
like that one, like not
Yeah.
a baseball throw.
Got
Okay,
it.
I'd go. All right, I'll give you like an 8.1, 8.2.
Okay. You love these fractions, man.
Dude,
You
because
love
it's the
these
only way you can.
fractions.
It's the only way
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
really compartmentalize it.
Understood. I appreciate that, Professor J-Rod.
I'd go 8. Yeah, 8 out of 10 if we're rounding down.
That's
I think
fair.
it was good. I think it was solid. Listen, you dock 2 points. I'd say maybe you dock 1 point for it being too high.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
And well, and wide as well. It's not like it was.
Yeah, it was
it's
kind
like
of a
it was-
little.
Oh, no, it was. It wasn't over the plate and high. It was in the right-handed part of the batter's box and high. So,
Yeah,
no, you
so
definitely
there's
got
the
to
2 points.
You got to penalize me. I got to own it. There's no way that was a 10. There's no way that was a 9. Yeah, I think I might even give myself lower than you. I might go 7. I might go 7.1, 7.2. I think you're a little generous, but I appreciate that. All right, let me get this out of the way. Just keep these texts rolling in. These chats, obviously. No, I did not get to say hi to Nimmo. I was trying to give him a shout out. I don't know him, but obviously he's off to a really good start, hitting it well. Had a couple of hits that game, playing right field, which I don't like. There was a play where they tested him on a throw that you're not going to not to get into the weeds of a Rangers Reds game, but and I remember saying to somebody in the family, I forget who it was, somebody that was next to me in the suite, because then we went to the suite. And I'm like, that's why he's not a right fielder. I don't even think he's doesn't even have a good left field arm. Forget about right field. But I did not get to say hi to him. I've got a lot of respect for Nimmo. Plays hard, good ball player, has some flaws. Who knows what happened in that clubhouse with the Mets. But, he was kind of run out. And the Mets offense and the Mets defense really was sputtering a little bit yesterday. And it has been a little bit this year. I'll get to that a little bit later. But, no, I didn't get to see him. I'm a fan of Nimmo, though. I don't think he's a great player. And I had some criticisms of his as a Met, as a ball player, but as a dude, as a human, I'm a big fan of Nimmo. All right. So real fast. Day, you can pop that up. I'll get to it, Jay. It's all good. Day 1 of the Masters, right? I was all over this. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and just run through shot after shot. Although we're talking about a massive mush, and this is on me. So if you love golf and you watch the Masters and you consume it regularly, you'll know that every freaking year, no matter how old he gets, no matter how gray the hair gets, no matter how big the belly gets over the belt, and no matter how much the back is still screaming, Freddie Couples, day one, comes out and almost always drops to 65, 66, 67. Like Freddie Couples is always on the first page of the leaderboard, and it's a great story. I love it. And Freddie Couples was, boom, was banging it yesterday early. And I tweeted, I'm like, something along the lines of, what's an opening round Masters without Freddie without Freddie without Freddie making noise or Freddie doing something. And then almost right away, I think he got a 9. And then I think he got like a 7. And then he just absolutely fell apart. So I did not mean to mush Freddie Couples, who I love. Now, when Freddie was in his prime, I was not a golf fan yet. I wasn't playing. I wasn't really watching. But God, he's got, and again, this is if you really, watch and play golf, he's got one of the easiest, smoothest swings still in golf, and the power. That's why his nickname was Boom Boom. The power that he generates is amazing. So I didn't mean to mush your Freddie, but day one at the Masters. So the leader right now, they're going to get off a little bit later, like 1 or 2 o'clock. -5. It's a good number. Weather was good yesterday. Conditions were pretty good, so you could attack the pins. And looking at the leaderboard here, I almost feel like this is a leaderboard from maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's a very interesting one in the sense that Rory's there. Now Rory knows the course really well, and I would think that Rory's going to be there all weekend, if not win it. But how about Jason Day? I mean, you go back, 5, 6, 7 years ago, Jason Day was a great, even maybe more than that, young, explosive, ascending, new generation type of golfer. Then he had a bad back issue, and he's a real blue-collar guy. If you know Jason Day's story, I think his dad left, and his mom raised him and was very poor, and his path to become a pro golfer. A lot of respect for Jason Day. I think he's a real gentleman. I love watching him play, so I hope he can continue this, right? Jason Day's a Patrick Reed, who went to nearby, Augusta State, I think it's called, and he's had a lot of flare-ups, and he's kind of this temperamental nut job. And, he had some big moments, whether it's Ryder Cup or Masters, going back a few years, and then he kind of disappeared. And that happens in golf, unless you're like a Tiger or Phil or one of these guys that, Scotty Scheffler in their absolute prime, that VJ, dudes like that, where they're just there for 10 years, if not more. Patrick Reed was one of the best golfers in the world for a minute. Then he absolutely just fell off the face of the earth. He's on the leaderboard. Shane Lowry, who is a great European player. Was he? I believe Ireland, right? Justin Rose, who I love, European. Xander Schauffele is up there. Scotty Scheffler's up there. Tommy Fleetwood's one of those guys who has won a lot and competes a lot, but it hasn't won a major yet. So they're all within a couple of shots. Leaders -5. Some of those guys like Fleetwood, Scheffler, -1, -2, 2, 3 shots either way. So the Masters is going to be a blast today. I told you I'm a big golf fan. Like, I follow this stuff, man. Off to a really, really good start. Wow. Johnny Boy 17. Thank you for that, Johnny. Appreciate it. What's your favorite wrestling match of all time? My goodness. I'm always down to talk some wrestling. We talked some wrestling yesterday.
It's funny you asked that. I watched a YouTube video yesterday, literally called like the best wrestling, like all the best wrestling matches of all time.
Really?
Good coincidence. Yeah.
Okay. Listen, I'm sure Shawn Michaels was involved in a few of those, and The Rock and Cena,
big time.
And some other guys that came. And of course, in retrospective, like history, I've caught up, but I wasn't really watching live at that point. Even Goldberg and some of those dudes, right? Oh my God. I remember, just as a quick aside, when VHS tapes were all you had. There were 2 in our neighborhood, and both were walkable, right? I would go and I would rent VHS tapes with my buddies, and Titan Sports. This was when Vince McMahon's empire was just beginning to explode, where he had like the Tuesday night talk show. Old heads will remember that. You probably won't, Jay. And like in studio, and it was him, and like Bobby Heenan was there a lot, and they had like a live audience. It was great, man. Ahead of its time, really. Yeah. And they had all these different VHS tapes from Titan Sports, whether it was like an individual wrestler or chronicling, some angles and stuff. God, I used to love this stuff. My favorite match of all time. Man, that is a really, really tough one. I listen, it's not my favorite. I think maybe the best in terms of just watching two guys that can wrestle. And, one guy had charisma, one guy didn't. But I think you go back to was that WrestleMania 3 when Macho Man wrestled Ricky the Dragon Steamboat?
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Macho had the great flair. Coming off the top rope, the shorts, like the stars on the back of the show. Elizabeth, of course, which changed everything. The sunglasses, the wild eyes. He was all coked up. Just the bam, 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 bam. The music as he would come out. So he was bringing that. He was bringing that match to an elevated place in terms of showmanship. But there were very few wrestlers, technically speaking, during that era that could really match Macho Man in terms of that ring presence and that dexterity. Yep. And Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was one. Bret the Hitman Hart was another. Maybe one of the Bulldogs. Not many. That was a great match. But my favorite, it's gonna sound corny. I might have to go to, and it wasn't even a great match, but I might have to go to WrestleMania 1 when you had Mr. T and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I mean, leading up to that, I watch it, and I've seen some documentaries on it since. I was actually in one of them. If you guys want to find it on A&E, it was about a 2-hour doc on the history and the making and how Vince leveraged all his money and really took a massive gamble, blah, 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 for WrestleMania with the pay-per-views and stuff and the closed circuit, and then eventually branched out. And I think WrestleMania 2 had multiple spots like Chicago and LA. Like, he really just started making a ton of money, but he took a lot of risks, right? And in that documentary, which I'm in, and I had a pretty prominent role, I spoke a lot about it. I loved the buildup, like the way they made that angle and the way they brought in Cyndi Lauper. I don't understand at that point. You're talking in the mid 80s, Jay. And in the mid 80s, now listen, like, I love Michael Jackson's music. Like, Michael Jackson, the person, it's different, I'm not. It just is. It just is. But Michael Jackson's music, amazing, right? Cyndi Lauper's. It was on the radio all the time. Madonna now, please, on every level for me. But her music in the 80s, I mean, a titan of industry, right? So when they brought in Cyndi Lauper, you had the rock and wrestling connection. You had the music. You had Hulk. You had Mr. T from the A-Team and Rocky. I mean, it was amazing. And the training montages that remember Mr. Perfect?
Oh, yeah.
Third heading. And I saw something else where recently I saw this where they showed all the takes that it would take to have the vignette. Mr. Perfect, like throwing darts, and then he would turn around and say, "Hey, I'm perfect," or like bowling a strike, or hitting a half-court shot, or throwing a football 50 yards, or puring a golf shot. And they had all the outtakes because it took a while for him to certainly hit a little bullseye, right? And so those vignettes became more and more well done and theatrical as time went on. But the early ones of, like, you look at Mr. T and Hulk Hogan working out, I think in Venice Beach, on the beach, and like running. Hulk's knees, because he was getting older at that point already, his knees were so shot he couldn't even run.
Oh,
and like,
man.
The amount of weight that they were like pushing, I don't mean Hulk, but more Mr. T. Like, it was so corny, but you didn't view it as corny back then. So I'd probably say and then Bob Orton got involved, and Mr. Wonderful. Oh, my Piper, who's one of my all-time favorites. I'd have to say that. Even though it was a bad match, it was the moment and the imprint on the history of the sport or the industry, undeniable, indelible. All right, what do we got here, Jay? Why don't you read that for me, buddy? What do we
Vince
have?
908. Hey, BC,
what up, Vince?
Do you remember when you went to your first Yankee game? Mine was in 1956, and I saw Mickey Mantle hit a home run to win the game.
Wow, how old? I'd like to know how old he was. So I do. Now, I looked for this game, and I found it on RotoSheet, which is, some of you know about this. RotoSheet is basically an old database, and it's perfect for, like, I don't know the actual date, but I remember piecing things together because I was probably about 5 or 6. And it was a Yankee game. And I remember, and we used to do this. We used to do this when we would go to the movies as well, my family. Listen, my dad was at this point, he was a cop or maybe not even a detective yet. So, we weren't rich for sure. So when you can cut a little side, a little side hustle there and save a few bucks, you do it, right? So whenever we would go to the movies, my dad would go to like the Tiamo, the store where they would sell like the papers and all the other stuff, right? And he would get like a bag of candy or whatever, and we'd bring it into the movies, right? I remember we did the same thing for this Yankee game. It's amazing what the little details. And I want to say, I could actually look this up. I could. I won't even have you do it, Jay. It might take too much time. But I remember Lee Mazzilli, who I know well. I've actually become friends with Maz. Great dude. I should get him on at some point. Talk some old school stuff. I really should. Maz, great. And Lee Mazzilli was on the Texas Rangers this year. It was the Yankees Rangers. So it may have been 82. I could just obviously go and check Lee Mazzilli. I just don't want to do it now. Lee Mazzilli's stats, and he didn't play for the Rangers long. Remember, he was drafted by the Mets, came up. He was with the Pirates a little bit. Then he wound up coming back to the Mets in 86. But before that, Pirates and the Rangers, and there was no interleague back then, so he wasn't on the Pirates. This is how I kind of piece things together. He was on the Rangers. Buddy Bell was on the Rangers, and this was pre-Mattingly. So I'm going to say 82. Yeah, and then I just went to $1 million. And it was just myself. My mom, I think, something else crazy what you remember. I think my mom, back in the 80s, J-Rod, a lot of the moms would get together, and they would do a Tupperware party. You ever hear of that?
No. What is that? Explain.
Man. It's like, like the Tupperware, like that plastic pliable stuff that you put like pasta in.
Yeah, of course.
And some of the moms, I think, as a little side hustle, would sell them, right?
Oh.
So they would have, my mom didn't do it long, but I do believe that she did it. And Tupperware, whatever company it was, would send you X amount of stuff, and then some of the moms would come over. I'm sure they'd have a glass of wine. They'd lay out all the Tupperware on the table. Some of the moms would buy it, and then maybe you make 15, 20, 25 bucks back then. And believe it or not, that's like gas for a month almost. If you really think about it, unless it was, as long as it wasn't 1979, which with the oil shortage. So my mom, I believe she was hosting a Tupperware party, and it was just myself, my dad, and my sister. And then from that point on, we went to a couple of games as a family, but it was pretty much always me and my dad. Yeah. And then we started going to Shea. I want to see Doc, and he's a Mets fan, obviously, as you know, as an old Dodgers fan growing up in Brooklyn. But and it was a little bit easier for him driving to go from Brooklyn to Queens than Brooklyn to the Bronx. So, but I remember a couple of times we would go to doubleheaders, to my conventional scheduled doubleheaders.
Yeah,
I remember one I went to, Yankees Royals. Maybe 84, maybe 85. Mattingly was there. I remember that. I saw Mattingly hit a bunch of home runs in person. Oh, my God. And I remember the best thing about going to the game as a kid was, for me, obviously, and my dad would always want to leave an inning early, which back then I didn't want to hear it. Now I get it.
Yeah.
If you can beat out, and there weren't 35, 40,000 people at the stadium when I was going, even though they had some good offensive, like really good players like Ricky and Winfield and Donnie. It was different. It just the attendance was down. Look it up. So it was easier to navigate there. But we'd always leave an inning early, and we'd always get a pretzel for the car ride home with that. And it's just the charcoal smell. And he'd always get me a program, which I would wake up every morning early and read. No joke. I mean, there was I don't know if they do this anymore. They probably don't need to because it's all digital now. But in the back of the old yearbook, I guess it was. Was it the yearbook or the program guide? I think this would have been the yearbook, right? And in the back, I loved reading this part. Don't know why. It was called On the Way Up. On the Way Up. That was the slug. On the Way Up, right? And it was and the Mets did this too, but the Yankees chronicling their minor league prospects. And it would have a picture and like a little write-up, maybe 3, 4, 5 sentences, Bernie Williams, AA, did this, 20 years old, with 19 years old, whatever it might be. Yeah. I love that, like that little minutia. I love that. I would just read it over and over. No computers, and that's how, Jay, I remember this as well. That's how when I'd wake up so early on Christmas morning. I'd wake up at like 4:35. And I remember my parents were like, don't wake us, because my mom would do Christmas Eve the night before and all the
Yep.
fish and everybody over and cleaning up, and then obviously, making sure things are right for Santa. So mom wouldn't go to bed until 2 or 3 in the morning. So she wanted to at least get a couple of hours. So I would wake up, and my sister, I'm convinced that my sister could sleep to noon on Christmas morning. Not that she didn't have any interest, but she just liked to sleep, right?
Yeah.
3 years older. And I was like, even non-Christmas, I'm up watching cartoons and, reading baseball magazines. But I remember how I would pass the time, and the clock, I would see it go like this: tick, tick, tick. And I know I got a mountain of presents downstairs, right?
Yeah.
Jordans, baseball stuff, Star Wars stuff. And it's driving me nuts. So I would read those magazines, which I kept in a drawer underneath my bed. And I would read for about an hour. And a lot of it was Guy on the Way Up and the Knicks magazine. So, oh my God, absolutely phenomenal stuff. So that was amazing. And then the thing that I really enjoyed probably the most, aside from sitting there watching the game with my dad and getting great food and leaving and getting the pretzel, as I said, I just remember being so captivated. Now the old Yankee Stadium and Shea, it was built so differently than the stadiums now. The corridors were tighter. And when you first get that first look, and somehow, even though, it wasn't swimming in money, always got good tickets, man. When you first see that grass, when you first see that entrance to whichever exit or gate you're going into, it was just mesmerizing to me. And I would like transfixed on it. My eyes were wide open. I'm sure my mouth was open. And I would just watch the game. And the grass was so green, and it seems like so big. Like it felt like it was 900 feet down the right field line. And I remember watching the game and saying to myself and saying to my dad, I'm going to be out there. So I'm going to be a Major League Baseball player. I'm going to be on that field someday. I mean, I wasn't. Although I was.
You were out there.
I was for the high school all-star game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
But
I was going to say, no, you've certainly hit an MLB field now a couple times.
I did. That's true. The A's, first pitch, etc. Charlie F6675, thank you for that. Appreciate it, Charlie. Great show, BT. Do you think Ryan Weathers is going to keep a spot in the rotation throughout the season? I know Cole's coming back, and obviously Heel is going next here. I mean, if he keeps pitching like that, you better believe he's going to be out there. He was phenomenal. A lot of upside with that young man, and it's a good window to get the baseball stuff in, because I want to get to a bigger topic in a minute. But the Yankees offense and a lack of the Yankees offense is, I'm not going to go over the top, but it's just annoying, because I really thought that the Yankees, for the first month of the season, with their rotation, Fried's going to be good. And I really thought that there wouldn't be any sort of sophomore jinx or slump for Cam Schlittler. Will Warren's good, but Will Warren always has that one inning that drives up the pitch count, that, knows that there's going to be a lot of bullpen arms, because, you look up, it's the fourth inning, 67 pitches. I'm just throwing out numbers. Third inning or second inning, 41. It's just not sustainable. Certainly not in 2026 for a young pitcher. So I thought that the way the Yankees were going to kind of get through April as Cole comes back and Rodon was to hit their way to some wins. It's actually been the opposite. It's amazing. Now they opened up with the Giants. Giants can't hit a lick. Marlins, aren't that good, obviously. But you can't lose. I won't say you can't. You can. Is it really a big deal? You lose 2 out of 3 to the A's. No. What does it mean down the road? Not a ton. But the Yankees have a lot right now of guys that they're trotting out there that are automatic outs. And Weathers, before this start yesterday, Yankees had 1 hit. 1. So, come on. Now, eventually Judge goes on a heater. I don't know what kind of year Jazz is going to have. This ties into him talking about 50-50, which I think is going to mess with a swing. I already don't love his swing anyway, because I don't think he's fundamentally buttoned up in terms of reacting to the situation. He's a guy who's swinging from the heels and doesn't make any adjustments. And in a contract year, he's going for the moon. And I think it's going to have a real adverse impact. So I'm not reacting to Jazz Chisholm's slow start. Listen, he's going to run into some missiles, and he's going to steal a ton. And he too will go on a heater at some point. But I don't think his production is going to be what some Yankee fans maybe thought it would be at the end at the end of the year. So listen, look around the Yankee infield. Let's just call it for what it is. You take away Ben Rice, right now you basically have a ton of automatic outs. Now, Jazz is different. I got to show him respect here. Much different than a Caballero. Ryan McMahon played shortstop a couple of games ago. Hopefully, Volpe comes back and is actually good. But, reacting to what Volpe's been so far, and Caballero, who's a sub, and McMahon, who stinks, and Austin Wells, who looks like he's going to be a 220-something hitter forever, if when he gets there, that's just too many guys that you're rolling out that aren't doing a damn thing. In sequence, out. Now you mix in the fact that you've got Trent Grisham, who's off to a really rough start. And, I didn't love bringing him back for $22 million, but whatever, he's back, so I'm going to deal with it. And, if Judge isn't going bonkers and Bellinger's not a consistent force, which he generally is, and I love Rice, and Stanton's off to a good start, but there's just a lot of automatic outs. So I don't know to answer the question. I at the end of the day, I don't think he will be. I mean, let's play it out, guys, right? So Fried, this will be optimal. All right, optimal circumstances for the Yankees. Fried 1, Cole 2, Schlittler 3, Rodon 4. Yeah, I mean, he could actually slot into that 5 spot. He could push Will Warren maybe to the pen, and then Clark Schmidt comes back down the road. It depends. He does have high-end, top-shelf stuff, and I know that they like him, and they're usually pretty good with the pitching, identifying reclamation projects, whatever. So I think there's a chance. I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but I think there's a chance he's the number 5 guy at the end of the year. All right, in regards to the Yankees yesterday, I'm very surprised that Michael Kay didn't say one goddamn hit after the game was over. Rod Power 78. No, Michael's not going to say that on the air, as we know. The other thing, too, as we're on baseball, because I don't want to get to this other topic. So, what was the buzz phrase around the Mets this offseason? I'll tell you. Run prevention. Brett Beatty yesterday on skates, big moment, right field, game-tying double. Hard play. I'm not saying it was easy. By the way, the probability rate for that was 45%. So even, a more skilled, more well-trained, if you will, outfielder, there's no guarantees making the play, but his route was very off, all right? Number one. And then Vientos, who dropped the pop-up the day before and then caught one and then had a little – I like that, actually. Had some fun with the crowd because he caught it, very shortly thereafter. Made a good play yesterday on a ground ball, infield up, and this is the winning run, and he spikes it in the dirt. See, the problem is, guys, when you have players out of position, right, it's one thing to take balls off fungos and in a controlled environment. What you can't control and what you can't replicate, really, more important, you can't manufacture the urgency when a ball is hit at you. And, especially those line drives for outfielders, right? Or if you're an infielder, like, say, Ben Rice learning how to play first base, he could take 1,000,000 ground balls. He's probably going to catch, 999,000+ of them during warmups, but like 99% of them. But during a game, when say if he's holding a runner on and he bounces off the bag, a couple of steps to his right, and there's a ground ball that's kind of in between first and second, and maybe Jazz is covering second or doesn't go for it. Ben Rice takes a step there, then he's like, I'm in no man's land. Is it my ball? It's in right field. Now he's kind of retreating to first base because he doesn't know if Jazz is going to go get the ball. Like, those are the little subtleties that you just can't reproduce in pregame stuff. I don't care how diligent and how hardworking you are. It is impossible to do that, right? So guys like, Beatty in right field, Beatty in left field, lesser extents. I think Rice will be fine. I think he's been pretty good so far at first base, but Rice at first base, Vientos at first base. Now, Vientos more of a natural third baseman. He's just not a good one. Who else out of position there? McMahon playing short. All right, he can catch ground balls, but those little things he's not trained for as a pro, they're going to show up. And they're going to show up in close games, in high leverage spots. And for the Yankees and the Mets, both teams who should be playoff teams this year, they're going to show up invariably at the worst point. And that's October. It's just going to happen. So, the run prevention stuff, which was a big thing for Stearns, which I get, I understand. And I'm a believer and I'm a supporter of that. But it's kind of a contradiction when you're espousing run prevention and then you got 3 or 4 guys playing out of position. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So They got to get their act together. Mets aren't hitting right now. Yanks aren't hitting right now. McClain was filthy because he is filthy. Weathers was filthy because he has filthy stuff. But the offenses right now are very, very problematic. And let me throw this out there very quickly. What I don't want to see happen, although I'm sure it's going to, now you're going to start hearing about, George Lombard's off to a quick start. Yanks got to call him up. They don't have to do anything. He can't even go into a bar and order a beer. He's 20. And it's not like he crushed Double-A a year ago. He had an OPS, I believe, that was under 600. However, he is off to a phenomenal start in Somerset. So he's played 5 games, right? He's got 4 doubles, and he's got 2 home runs, 6 extra base hits in 5 games. And more importantly for me, he struck out twice in 23 or 24 plate appearances, putting bat to ball, making good contact. All the numbers are there, the deeper analytics, what you want. But what can't happen is Volpe comes back and let's say he's still the same player that he's been. McMahon at third base. I mean, he's not going to hit 060 this year, but he very well might hit 190. I mean, Scott Brosius hit 199 or 201 the year before the Yankees got him. You tell me Ryan McMahon can't do that? I mean, he is wretched. He stinks as a hitter. So what the Yankees can't do, and I don't think that they'll do this, so I'm not really worried about it. This is more to the fans and not to the Yankees. Don't start amping up the noise. Bring up Lombard. Bring up Lombard. The Yankees basically had Volpe skip AAA. How's that looking? How's that working out? To me, there are checkpoints. Now, the old school way is that generally the way players were viewed is that most organizations wanted players to get at least 1,500 at-bats in the minors, and generally, if you could, depending upon where you start, high A, low A, rookie, whatever, but you want to have 500, 500, 500. You want a nice big sample size at each level to gauge the progress. But now, a lot of the young stars in the game in Major League Baseball, because the game has changed. AAA is no longer what it was. Really, Double-A is the new AAA, just more viable, more explosive, better baseball, even though it's a little bit more raw because the kids are younger than AAA. But you don't really see that progression path as much. You get kind of, let's microwave them. I'm not looking to do that with Lombard. I'm not. But I love that he's hitting. He's off to a great start. I think he's going to be a great fielder. Everybody raves about his IQ. And, 4 doubles and 2 bombs in 5 games at Double-A, coming off what a lot of Yankee people said was a very good, productive winter. It's an awesome sign. I tweeted this yesterday, and of course, people don't understand it. It gets lost in translation. I can't help you. Like, one thing I'm never going to do, I just won't do it. Now, if I say something on the show, and one of you guys ask me about it on the show, of course I'll go back and I'll provide context. What I will not do is tweet something, and obviously I'll see the reaction, read some of the comments. Most of the time I won't. Sometimes I will. And, people basically take, not even to start trouble, just taking what I said and kind of hijacking it in a different direction. It's not incumbent upon me to provide context. You saw what I wrote. You guys react to it. If you disagree, that's fine. I mean, that's the way the world spins. That's fine. That's good. I don't profess to know everything. But I did tweet yesterday, and I mean this, and I will give you the context here, all right? Because I wasn't going to go back and quote tweet myself. Here's what I really meant. I got no time for that nonsense. Not interested, right? Figure it out yourself, or watch BT Unleashed, and you'll figure it now. So, where's my thing here? Let me just get my actual phone. It was about Lombard, right? So with Lombard, I told you off to a great start. It was about basically a dearth of Yankee prospects outside of Aaron Judge, really doing anything, for a minute. All right, so I tweeted this yesterday. The Yankees need Lombard to truly be the real deal more than any other prospect they've had in the last 30 years. I mean that, all right? They need him to be the real deal more than any prospect they've had in the last 30 years. Now, of course, people are like, well, they took it as either shade at Aaron Judge or they just went a different direction. And that's fine, But it was nothing. It had nothing to do with Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge is the greatest player I've ever seen, right? That was obviously a home run when they drafted him out of Fresno State. But there's been an absence. I don't need another Aaron Judge, but, I mean, can you have an above-average player that you develop? I mean, really, if you think about this, you had to trade for Jazz. You traded for McMahon. You traded for Caballero. You traded for Trent Grisham. You made the move for Bellinger. Basically, everybody outside of Ben Rice and Wells can't hit right now, and there's no evidence that he's going to, you got from other teams. So we all know the Yankees' inability to develop these prospects. It's maddening. It is a massive, massive failure and a massive problem for the Yankees, because then downstream, what you have to do to kind of course correct that, you got to spend exorbitant amount of money on a guy like Bellinger, or you got to give Trent Grisham $22 million, even though we all know, most of us know, he's not a leadoff hitter, But hey, is Spencer Jones ready? Nope. Spencer Jones is his strikeout rate this year in the minors it's 54%. He's striking out 54% of the time in the minors. What is that going to be in the majors? 70? He ain't the answer. He's not the guy. So if he was the guy and he was more ready because he played in college, remember that. He's not a young kid that got drafted at the age of 16, who's 19. You're like, all right, go get him. Good luck, buddy. Guy's 25 years old. So if he's not ready now, he's never going to be ready. That's the point. So they didn't develop him, or they just drafted the wrong guy. And then obviously Dominguez, who's tearing the cover off the ball in the minors, which I love to see, they don't believe that he's a good enough defender to play center field. We've seen him, and they're probably right, because we've seen him play left field, and he butchers left field. Now, I know, I get it. Got different angles, different spin, different reads. Center fielders say it's harder to play left field than center. All right, fine, I get it. But when I see a major league last year left fielder stumble around and look as lost as he did too many times, he's just not a good defender. So they didn't do a good job developing his defensive prowess either, all right? In addition to being a right-handed hitter. So the point is about the tweet, why I stand by that with Lombard, it's because if he is, and I'm not trying to put unnecessary pressure on the young man, but like if he really is the real deal, like if he's the Yankees version of Witt or Gunnar Henderson or just some young buck who comes up and is a stud and he's going to be an all-star, and as he matures and puts on weight and fills out and learns the league, he's going to be in some all-star games and might mess around and, be top 5 MVP, might win one, like that kind of player, right? If he is that kind of player, well, now you can, number one, you don't have to spend more money to get that kind of player here, which allows you to build out the roster, I think, more effectively and differently to support Aaron Judge. So the tweet was about Lombard, but in a lot of ways, it was speaking to the broken nature of the Yankee prospects. That's what that was about. So, J-Rod, I saw a pretty interesting, a study. All right, it wasn't a report. All right. Best sports days of the year.
Okay.
Right? Now, using the A through F grade, I'm going to give a grade. A is the best. F is awful. I'm going to give you 2, 4, 6. I'm going to give you 8 things based on your interest and your willingness to sit there for 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it might be, to consume that. I want your letter grade as well. You ready?
Okay.
Master Sunday for me is an A. How about you?
For me,
yeah,
C.
Okay. Super Bowl Sunday for me, it's going to sound weird, is really more like a C. Of course, I'm going to watch it, but the way the pregame drones on, I can't stand it. The long halftime show, I can't stand it. Like, I myself enjoy Wild Card Weekend more myself.
Sure.
Even though you have every once we get a bad game, like that 9-win team that shouldn't be there. So I'm going to give Super Bowl Sunday a C in terms of watching the game. You?
B.
Okay. Week 1 of the college football season.
Ooh.
It's about a D for me. Whatever. Wake me up when there's really good games. You get a couple, but it's not like I'm sitting there, oh my God, week 1 of the college football season. Wow.
I guess
I gotta be honest with you.
When I was in school, I had greater intrigue, obviously. Nowadays it's a little different. Yeah, I'll go similarly D.
Okay, what about the Kentucky Derby?
D.
You're not a big Derby fan?
No.
Yeah, now the Derby's interesting because I met my wife at a Kentucky Derby party.
Right, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I told you that story. So there's great symbolism in the Derby. So I'm going to give it an A out of that. But in terms of like all the pomp and circumstance, I don't know a lot about. I mean, horses are an amazingly beautiful animal, and it's crazy how beautiful they are. But the mechanics of horse racing, I don't pretend to understand it at all. I don't even really know how to bet on horse racing. So I don't need all those hours of lead up like I don't need it for the Super Bowl. The race is over in 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, literally.
So because if I don't, I'm probably going to get in trouble. But in terms of the other stuff, reality, whatever. All right. Indy 500 F. Couldn't care less.
Yeah.
How about you?
F. I've never watched it once.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I've certainly never watched it start to finish. Although I'm not trying to disparage the sport of auto racing. Some of the people who go there, like the infield is amazing and the party is awesome. And it's, but for me, it's zero. All right. NBA on Christmas.
A.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to give it a pretty high grade as well. I'm going to probably a B plus, it's very high. There was a point where maybe it was an A, like when I would get like Ewing versus Jordan, and there was only like 1 or 2 games. Like now it's like 5, and it's cool. It's there if you want it. You get Steph, and you get LeBron, and you get the Knicks now, and you get the Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell. You get the Celtics, obviously. You get Denver. So it is good, right? MLB opening day, absolute A plus.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Like I haven't been as locked in with baseball ever. And like this year I was so hyped for opening day. So yeah.
Okay. And then for me, how about, why don't you get this first? Day 1 of the NCAA tournament. Day 1.
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, day 1?
Day 1. It's just
day 1
12-12, first game till midnight. What? Come on.
The first games of March Madness.
This is your answer, so let me hear it.
B minus.
Really?
I feel like I get more hype for round 2. Okay, the first games with the premier schools, yes, I'm getting into, yes, I'm watching, but I think a lot of the worst matchups, I'm not up for, I guess.
Listen, there's a lot of games that I don't. I mean, especially now with the portal, you just don't even know who's on most of these teams, and I do it for a living. Jeez, it was funny because obviously it's different last couple of years with St. John's being in the middle of a lot of it, and I remember I was in the hotel room. This was in San Diego when St. John's was playing the first game. So they beat Kansas on a Sunday, and they played on Friday night. All right, their first win, Northern Iowa. So it was the Friday night, and I'm in a hotel room, and I've got the itinerary. Team bus leaves at this time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, I got this amount of time before I shower, suit up, shave, all that stuff, get ready, go down, get on the bus, head over to the arena. And it's amazing. Like, there's nowhere else I'd rather be at that point than calling a St. John's game with Mink in the NCAA tournament. But I had to leave just based on, again, their itinerary, and I've got to follow their itinerary for sure. When Siena was, kind of messing around and maybe getting ready to beat somebody that they had no business beating. And obviously McNamara was coaching Siena at that point, and they were playing Duke. I'm like, wow. And I didn't want to leave the hotel room. I'm laying in my bed, and I just kept postponing getting in the shower, putting my suit on. And then, as soon as I did that, I'm like, all right, I got 9 more minutes. I got to get downstairs in case there's a lot of people at the elevator, big hotel. I can't risk being late, because, again, St. John's not waiting on me. I've got to be there early. That's how I view it. So I'm like, I got 4 minutes. I'll have to go to commercial. I wanted to watch the game so much. So I couldn't. So day 1 to me has taken on a different tone because I'm now involved in it, right?
Oh, big time.
And I miss a lot of stuff. And it's funny, the deeper St. John's goes, the less I actually watch of the tournament because I'm so fixated on what St. John's is doing because I'm at that venue, and it's a trade-off I will happily make any day of the year. But for me, taking away St. John's, I would say of these 3 things, I would say number 1 would be MLB opening day.
Yep.
Number 2 would be Masters Sunday. And number 3 would be the NCAA tournament day 1. And even though, you get a lot of teams you haven't really watched or don't know a whole lot about, it's just, I love how it all starts. I love how the different courts, the different venues, like the different pods around the country, the different storylines, the different announcing teams, and the music, it just hits, right? It's a culmination of what's been, a very long and most times a really fun, good college season. And then you start, I think the first game is usually 12-12. I think that's what 12-22.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? And then literally, Jay, you're going from 12-12 to midnight as that last game generally tips off at 9:40, 10:01, depending upon if the game before it goes late. So it's wall-to-wall hoops. That is a true story. That is, and it's proven by data, that is the day where it's the highest amount of vasectomies for men in the United States. Yeah.
Is there
Yeah, man.
some kind of correlation that
Sure.
people, what would you say? Okay. So
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. When you get the snippage, and you guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, obviously, I don't want to get too crass here, but we get the snippage. You got to have a bag of ice on the jewels. So that's like one of the few times Dad can just sit there.
Oh my God!
So Dad's no idiot. Dad's like, let's see. All right, day one, March Madness here. You know what? I don't want to go in Thursday morning because I might get back with being a little bit of pain, whatever. Let me get it done Wednesday. It's an out procedure. It's not like you get to spend the night, but and then you can milk it a little bit. Oh God, it hurts. So, honey, can you get me a drink? Honey, can you order some food? Honey, can you get me some more ice? And then Friday, you lay it on thick. Like when you're sick, when you're a kid, Mom, I don't feel good. I feel terrible. The fake cough, the fake sneeze, that's why. That's true.
I knew that stat because when I did it.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I don't know the number.
Funny, man.
I don't know the sheer amount of actual procedures or the percentage compared to other days, but I know it has been proven medically that there are more vasectomies during the NCAA tournament than any other point in the calendar year.
Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, we might be simpleton creatures, but at the end of the day, we're not dumb.
No, we listen. We know how we want to relax.
Yes, sir. Relax. What do we got here? Anything good that's you're kind of monitoring the chat there, Jay? Anything pop up there, buddy?
Let's see here. Oh yeah, here's a good one from the beginning that
Oh, this was from early, right? This is from early in the day. I saw this, when I jumped on to let everybody know what we were going to talk about today. At Pity Right, BT, interested on your thoughts about this proposed NCAA rule about having 5 years of college eligibility once you either graduate high school or turn 19, whichever comes first. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. I mean, there's guys who are 26 years old playing college football. It's an absolute joke, dude. And I'm not even talking about the money, but at that point, you are a full-fledged, physically developed grown man. And you're playing against, kids who were in high school the year before. It's just not right. I also saw, this is a little bit in the weeds. I don't profess to think that everybody, knows about this or cares about this, but, Providence fired Kim English, their former coach. They brought in a very, very well-respected coach. A lot of people like the hire, so do I. And they have been crushing the portal already. And I believe they signed. Well, they've already got a couple of commitments. They signed a kid who was in the league for a couple of years.
Oh, yes. I saw that. Yep.
Yes.
I saw that. That's ridiculous.
I mean, what are we doing? It's not, it could be Baylor. It could be SMU. It could be Gonzaga. It's not that it's in the Big East. I don't care. St. John's getting ready to destroy the portal. I'm not worried about that. So it's not a competitive thing or me trying to shade Providence, but that is just fundamentally wrong. He's a pro. When you are he's not the first one. When you're in the G League, you literally get paid to be in the G League.
Yeah.
So how the hell can you go back and play college? Now, the reason probably is the NIL, it changes the amateur status, obviously.
Sure.
You're, in essence, a pro, and Rick Pitino said, he's like, they're pros. And he's right. But aesthetically, just think about the way that looks. Now, Providence fans won't care. And to be fully honest with you, if St. John's dipped into they almost did last year.
Really?
Yes. I think they almost did it mid-season after the first semester when Rick didn't like the point guard play. And the guards actually wound up hurting them. So they're going to address that in a big way. But they were flirting with the idea of getting somebody from the G League who played point and bringing them in mid-season. And Rick declined. Not that they had the money. He was going to do it, but he didn't think it would be good for chemistry and all those other things, especially the way he coaches and his system. You need a couple of months to get used to the Rick Pitino, experience. He's going to be on you. I mean, like a lunatic. And, you need the summer to get used to that and summer workouts and kind of, coalesce as a team. So they didn't do it. So, I mean, other teams could do it. If St. John's did it tonight, the kid's a stud and it gets him to the Final Four, I'm all for it. But only because other teams are doing it. If I really had my way, I would just I would not allow any team to do that. I don't know. See, the problem.
It's wild.
Yeah, no, it is. The problem here, Jay, is that we can have these strong opinions. And I mentioned on Monday how Tuesday, because I was off Monday. Jay Billis was dropping bombs over the weekend. He and Calipari on set on the national semifinal Saturday from Indianapolis, like on their set before the two games. They were having some really good discourse, and Jay's got a legal background. And Calipari was saying some stuff, and I think Bruce Pearl on that. I think he may have been on that panel as well. And Jay was on fire because he's got that legal background. The problem is we can sit here and come up with a lot of ways to make it more pure. And I'm not talking about NIL money. Again, these kids deserve to get paid, but you got to streamline this a little bit. Whether it's you have kids now. You look at St. John's will sign, because I've already done this. St. John's will sign players. And as I start my research, the moment that I find out that they signed them, I will go to their college stats. You will see a lot of times a kid playing, say, at one school in the ACC, and then his second year he was in the Big Ten, and now he's joining St. John. Like, that is common. 3-4 conferences represented over the course of 3-4 years. Now, that's a problem in the sense that, and we haven't really realized yet because we're still in the early stages of this, but one of the things that I loved about my early, and for me it's St. John's, for many others it's other teams, but the ability, like, I watched Chris Mullen play for 4 years.
Yep.
I watched Walter Berry. Now, he came from JUCO, but he played for 3 years. I watched Mark Jackson play 4 years. Same with Shelton Jones and Willie Glass, and and then obviously old Malik Sealy, those guys, and Wennington before that. And when you watch somebody play 3-4 years, you just develop a connection. There's a familiarity. There's just something that you really carry on throughout life. And I'm not even an alum of St. John's, but when you're an alum of a school and you look back 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like, are there going to be that many retired numbers? Like, why would you bring a kid back who, even if they win the championship and he's there for 1 year, but he played for 2 or 3 other schools, are you going to really hang that banner with
it's kind of weird.
Johnny Dawkins or Christian Layton or a Bobby Hurley if you're Duke? I wouldn't.
No. Also, wait, here's my question.
Yes.
Can G League players who have played NBA minutes go back to college?
Like on those two-way contracts?
On a two-way contract, or like they get called up or whatever?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a really good question. I would probably say no, but at this point, who the hell knows?
Yeah, no, that would just be absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, geez, I wish St. John's could have gotten Dennis Jenkins back. He already knows where St. John's is.
Yeah.
He averaged 20 points a game when Cade Cunningham was out for the Pistons. At Christopher's, how we saying this?
Saint Marie, I think. I busted out yesterday.
But with the E, though? I would just go Saint is ST.
I know. Maybe
Steve
it's
Marie?
just a
Tricky one.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know.
That's good. That's a tough one. My first Yankee game had a headline in the Post or News that read, "Rookie cooks goose." Wow. Pat Kelly lit up Goose, who was on his way out on the Rangers. Yeah, I remember Pat Kelly. Went to Westchester, I believe it's a D2 school in Pennsylvania, and Pat wore number 14, second base. Good fielder. Pat was on those teams where they were he's on some bad teams too, but they would just turn the corner, like right after early Buck, post Stump Merrill, those horrible Yankee teams, even though I'm pretty sure he was with Stump. But yeah, Pat was a good fielder. What posters did you have on your walls as a kid? Louisiana Lightning. No, I never had a Guidry poster. No, I had Mattingly everywhere. I mean, let's start with Matt. I had the Hitman poster. I had a Don Mattingly poster. There was Jay, you won't remember these. It was about a 2-year window where sports, maybe a little bit more, but where Sports Illustrated put out posters. Do you remember this run or no?
Like when they would do kind of like the fold out sort of deal?
No, it wasn't in the magazine. It was a conventional poster that you would buy in a sneaker store or something like that. But no, so it wasn't that. It was legitimately full-size poster.
Sure.
But their marketing campaign was like basically experiencing a game the way the players do. So I had a Mattingly poster, right? And like he was in mid-swing connecting with the ball. And it said, how's it feel to turn a fastball into a souvenir? And then it said Sports Illustrated.
Oh, that's sick.
Get the feeling. It was, oh man,
dude, that's a hard one.
Money. So I had every Mattingly poster. Number one, I had a Chris Mullen poster. I had a couple of Jordan posters. I had one or two Dominique Wilkins posters.
Yep.
I had this. Well, this is one of the first posters I ever had. It was called Superstars of the NBA, and it was one of those posters like it was built up in quadrants. So there would be like, I think there was like 3, 6, 9. I think there was 12 little squares, and it was a normal size poster, but within the normal size poster, there maybe it was 9 or 10, whatever it was, 9 or 10 of the best superstars in the NBA, and all across the NBA. And it had like Isaiah, and I think I got it because of Bernard King, Mikhail, Bird, Magic. I feel like Alex English was on that poster. Maybe Mark Aguirre. I think Kareem was dropping a skyhook. That was a good one. God, I had so many posters. And then I'll tell you what, even when I got to college, I was hanging posters everywhere.
Yeah, dude.
Off campus. Oh my, yeah.
Even now, well, I mean, at least for people my age, like honestly, I will say a lot of my generation now you're kind of transitioning to the framed picture a little bit, but no, I mean, my room and I definitely have some posters.
Well, look, if you look right over here, if you look to the right, where is that? Hang on, to the right. I'm still reconvening some stuff here. So that's my Mattingly, and then if you look over here, I've got my map of the world. That's Bernard King, who actually signed that, 2B.
Oh, that's awesome King. Up there.
Then I've got the first team I ever coached. That was T-ball. And then I got Reggie signed. That's hitting the home run. That was his 3rd home run in the World Series.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's signed. Then I got a bunch of other stuff, whatever. But maybe I'll give you guys a better tour at some point. But yeah, now, and then the man cave, everything's pretty much framed. Like I've got Joe Namath. I've got Bernard King. I've got Ewing. I've got Mattingly framed stuff. The Hitman one autographed as well. I've got something from when I did that show on Discovery, Man versus Bear.
Okay,
that's framed.
That's funny.
I've actually got, I gotta, I don't know how I would bring video. I guess I could record it from my phone. One thing that's pretty cool in my man cave, I've got, it's like the size of a jersey. Only what I did was I went and I did this when we moved into our home, and I actually got a man cave rather than an apartment where I had limited space. I had it made myself, laminated, matted, all that stuff. And I took, probably 20 credentials that were of high value to me.
Yeah.
And, they kind of cut it off. And so like, it wasn't like some massive,
sure.
It was just a picture and the accreditation. So like I remember I've got one from when the Yankees won the World Series in 2009. I was at 1050 ESPN radio at that point. I did my show from City Hall, like steps from City Hall, where the parade ended. So like if you go back and find video on this, Jay-Z and like CC, and Robbie Cano, they are doing New York State of Mind on City Hall steps. That was right there. So I've got that credential. I've got like a Jet credential. I've got a Yankee Met. So, the Raiders, the Niners, a couple U.S. Open for golf.
Oh, cool.
Some smaller ones when I first got in the business. I got a lot of cool stuff. I got to give you guys a better look at that at some point. I'm still kind of reconfiguring this. I think I'm going to do away with the logo, man. I'm not feeling the logo anymore, bro.
What, behind you?
Yeah, I gotta really. Yeah, I gotta mix things up a little.
Let me say, I loved how it looked behind you during the Stephen A. / Jets Collective. I mean, I don't know if
wait, when we had this, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's where I just kind of tilted things up, and that's where I had my okay.
During both of those, I think that looks great, honestly.
You liked it?
Not to get too real on air here, but
you liked it.
I think that usually looks really good.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I can show you something real quick. Hold on. Reach it again. I don't think I ever showed you guys this. Did I? I might have showed you, Jay. Did I ever show you this?
Let's see it.
Did I show you that?
Ooh, whoa, no,
I didn't show you that, did I? That is from the St. John's Big East tournament. This was from last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
nice, right?
One come this year as well?
I would imagine so. They better not start cheaping, man. When you start winning, you got to start getting more rings. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang. That's
nice,
sick.
Right? I got some cool stuff up there. I've got a couple of Louis. I've got some signed balls. I've got this is actually pretty cool too. My wife got me this when she was working at the Garden. Clyde Frazier signing this, a little Nick ball here.
Oh, that's sick.
I have a lot of stuff, man. I just got to find a way to streamline it. I am going to mess around with the background at some point. Favorite Nintendo sports game? Oh, Tecmo Bowl was a beast, man. Tecmo Bowl was the kind of game you just talk so much shit to you because if you had the right team, Like if you were the Raiders and you had Bo Jackson,
Ooh.
like you could actually. I go so good at one or the Bills. With
Oh yeah,
Thurman
I've
and
definitely
Jim
seen
Kelly.
pics of this game before.
Yeah.
100%.
But I would run backwards and I would just taunt my buddy. Like instead of like with Bo Jackson, you literally couldn't stop him. So instead of just going forward and going through a hole and cutting to the outside and beating everybody based on speed, I would say if I'm at midfield, I would run backwards to the other goal line and then try to get a 100-yard run and talk smack the entire time. I listen, that was a great game. Tyson's punch out was awesome. I liked Contra as a non-sports game. You know that?
Good
you know
one.
that game?
Yeah.
Contra was really, really good. And I like Pitfall. Remember Pitfall?
Let me look
Some
up
dude was in the jungle and he had to like jump over quicksand. And
I don't think I've ever played this one.
It was good.
It was check it out.
Yeah, it was one from back in the day. And then listen, obviously, like the like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, everybody liked that stuff. But I loved Contra. The good thing about Contra too was that me and my boy, oh God, I love him. I haven't seen him in so long. My buddy Brian, right? We would play we were teams. So like one of the dudes would start up here, one of the dudes would start here. You just go through, you'd battle, you get the machine guns, you get the different weapons. My Contra was a good one. I was mostly sports, but there were some ones that weren't sports that I enjoyed. All right, what else we have here, Jay? This is a No Rules Friday.
Oh, wait, hold up real quick.
Yes, sir.
St. Marie is correct.
All right, there you go.
Christopher.
All right, Chris was right.
Now we know.
What else will pop up? There you go. BT, what kind of back surgery did you have? I had a fusion and a laminectomy in November. Also with golf, have you taken lessons? I've taken lessons. Nothing works, dude. I'm beyond help. I really am. I've taken lessons as a lefty, taken lessons as a righty. I'm a disaster. I've got a guy in Clifton. I'm sure he's legit. I know. I'm sure he's at Brack 227. I had a microdiscectomy. So one of my buddies had the full, what is that? Not the fusion. Yeah, the fusion. Like Tiger. I think Tiger Woods had. Yes, Tiger did have fusion. The microdiscectomy on the scale of back surgeries is the most benign. It's the least invasive. So look at it this way. For those of you who don't know, like imagine you've got, this is, let's see, in between, like you take your spine, right? You've got obviously skeletal, you've got vertebrae, bone, right? In between, as it stacks its way up, there's this gel cushion that's circular, that's got fluids in there. Okay. Now there was a deviation, and you hear grandmas say, "Oh, my sciatica." People think it's like a grandma thing, but when you rupture, which I did, one of those gels, one of those little capsules. Number one, now the vertebrae, instead of being separated fully, they start to stack on each other, and you get some pain. But what was most problematic for me was that the gel was coming out and it was falling on my sciatic nerve, which was basically responsible for, I would say at one point in my life, 100% of the time, constant searing pain that shot from basically, like, think about the labrum, like kind of like the hippish area, all the way down to my ankle joint, and it never ever went away. I remember this. This is when I was doing the show with Tiki. So we were living in, it's basically by Weehawken. We had a condo out there before we moved out to where we are now in our home, and where the kids were born, right? So I would drive. Sometimes I would take the ferry, but I basically drove. I would just go through the Lincoln Tunnel and go down the West Side Highway. Boom. Same studio as WFAN, the national stuff at that point, right? And I remember multiple times, first of all, I would take a bottle of water and I would actually place it underneath like where my hamstring was and elevate while I was driving. No joke, dude. And there were times I would get out of the West Side Highway, on the West Side Highway during a light. Like I couldn't wait. You know how you hate red lights? Everybody hates them. I loved them because I would actually get out and like just shake my leg out and get back in the car. Dude, it was the worst. It was absolutely the worst. And I remember at the height of the pain, and again, it was searing. It was like this electrical charge. You guys, if you've had it, you guys know. It just never went away. And, I'm not a pill guy. I'm not going to start popping heavy pills. That's not going to solve anything. So I didn't do that. I'm not saying, I would take Motrin, but I'm not going to start doing, heavy stuff just to get through become addicted. Like I'm not looking to be that kind of, have that lifestyle. So I just sucked it up, which is really kind of my natural mentality anyway. And I remember we were going on our guys trip to Myrtle, which we always do, basically 20 years. We've done it, same crew. Awesome. And I think my son was already born young. And I was, obviously in the throes of early parenting. So you're not really doing that much. You're helping your wife out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to get away, man. I got to get on this trip. And I really wanted to play golf. But I was in so much pain. I went to HSS in Manhattan, which is where I had my Tommy John surgery, and which is where I actually also had my ruptured Achilles. I've had a lot of injuries, as you know, surgically repaired by Struan Coleman did it for my Achilles, and David Olczyk, who used to be the Mets and the Giants team doctor, did my elbow when I was in college.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
Unfortunately, I've got a long history there. Anyway, so I go to HSS, and I see my doctor. Great. And I said, hey, can you do anything? Can you give me an injection? Could you do anything? Because I had 10 injections basically just to get through life. And then that would dissipate after 3 or 4 days. And I said, I just want to go play this golf trip. Is there anything that I'll deal with what I've got to deal with. And I know I'm going to have to deal with something when I get back. I just want to play 4 or 5 rounds, have fun with my buddies. And then we'll come back, and I'm sure I'm going to have surgery, because he showed me the imaging. He's like, all right. He's like, listen, I'll give you one more injection. He goes, I don't even think you're going to be able to get through the trip. He goes, matter of fact, I'm almost positive by the time you're a round or 2 in, you're going to call me and you're going to say, let's schedule surgery. And I remember I played the first day, and I actually played pretty well. And I remember the next morning, we rent a big house with a pool and all that stuff. And we're teeing off at like 12. And I remember I'm in the pool having a beer, like, chill out before we start the day. It's our vacation, right? And I'm like, I can't play. Yeah. And I remember I was in tears. I actually called my wife, like, I'm not crying like a wuss. And I even called my mom too. And I'm like, I gotta have the surgery. I absolutely have to have the surgery. And I remember when I came back, and I had it very shortly thereafter. And I remember my doctor saying, hey, listen, right before they wheeled me in, he goes, I promise you, the moment that you open your eyes, you are going to feel zero pain. And not just because you're hopped up on meds. This pain is going to be gone, because what they did, they basically took, God, I mean, I could teach a medical course with all this stuff. It's ridiculous. They basically think of a medical instrument that is like a vacuum.
Sure.
Basically, incision, go on the spot where all that juice and all that gel's hanging on the nerve, suck it right out. Now it's no longer hanging on the sciatica nerve. It's no longer inflamed. Pain goes away. Boom. And then you got to manage it. And thank God. And this is about 10 years ago. Thank God, man. It has held up. And as soon as he wheeled me out, he's like, stand up. Be careful. We cut you open, but stand up. Anything? I'm like, no. I don't feel any pain. He's like, yeah, I told you. Yeah. That's the worst, man.
Well, good thing it got handled with, dude. That's awful, bro.
Yeah, man. I went through a lot of, whatever. I think the thing is the thing that really hurt me, and I didn't know it at the time, is I just got into a really bad car accident. I told you about this. Well over 100 miles an hour, like an absolute idiot. I wasn't driving, but we flipped so many times. You don't know. I was 18. I was going to college the next day. That's why I redshirt. I did not play. I didn't play at all my freshman year in college. But the amount of times that we flipped and banged around, who knows what it does to your body. Yeah. So, people are like, dude, you look good. You're 52. You look like you're in good shape. Yeah. I'm not trying, but I wake up, I'm stiff as a board, bro. I'm stiff as a board, man. All right, let me get a couple more of these. And then I got one more thing for you about the NFL draft. And then we'll start rolling out of here on a No Rules Friday.
Good one.
Give me a good one here. Anything good? Right. Well, while you're looking for it, I'll set up the topic. It's not going to take
Drop it.
Okay. So we did, by the way, if you can get the thing up about the Jets Collective, that's a good time to pop it in. So we launched the Jets Collective 3 weeks ago. It's myself, it's Jake Asman, it's Rich Samini. Episode number 3 was last night. Go check it out. It was a blast. I mean, the views are pretty good. It is going to be, for me, I believe it's going to be the number 1 spot for Jet fans. I really do. The growth is good. It's palpable. So last night was episode number 3, and we talked a lot. Thank you, Jay. We talked a lot about, obviously, the Jets and, now Bailey. There's a shifting in sentiment. They're going to go Bailey rather than Reese. I want to see the Jets trade out. Not that I'm going to kick and scream if they draft Bailey or if they draft Reese, but I think there's too many guys that are too close where if you have somebody who loves Bailey or who loves Reese, jump out a few spots, get some more picks, and get Sonny Styles or get Caleb Downs, all these things I've talked about. But aside from the Jets, there is now a growing thought here that we are going to have a wild first half of the draft in terms of trades, right? And specifically for defensive players, because nobody really distinguishes himself. Think about that. If the Jets aren't sure what they want to do at 2, and you know the Jets are going defense without question with their first pick, 16 I'm not sure about, but certainly if they stay at 2 or if they drop down a couple of spots, 100% they're going defense, right? So if they don't even know who they want, there's going to be, a lot of mixed scouting reports on these players, whether it's at the edge, whether it's at linebacker, whether it's at corner. Those are 3 positions for teams that are going defense. There's a lot of different interpretations of these players. Now, you look at the wide receiver market, and it's generally thought to be the deepest, and I would agree with that. Let's face it, there's 1 quarterback, maybe 1.5 in Ty Simpson. There's at least 5 wide receivers. To me, there's 2. McCoy is one of them. There's 2 corners who are worthy of, top 18, top 20-ish selection. There's 2 offensive linemen, one from Utah. Where's the other one from? I'm forgetting where he's from. 2 O-linemen. Jets won't do that. Giants could. There is 1 tight end, obviously, from Oregon, who's going to go top 15-ish, top 16 for sure. And I would love the Jets to take him at 16. So, but the defense is where it's a little bit convoluted because you got a couple of edge guys who are a little raw. Some guy like Bailey, who's thought to be able to impact right away, but not have, maybe the burst for some or the multiple, tricks in the bag in terms of a second and third move to get to the quarterback, kind of a one-trick pony. The linebackers like Reese, and he's going to bounce around, but, you love him, but it's more projected on upside. He's a freak athlete. Same with Styles, So it's going to be interesting, and it looks like the first half of round 1, I think we're going to get a lot of draft action, a lot of trades, and I love it. It's fun. I think it's good for business. And then the other thing, too, is you got to understand this. I said this last night to Rich and to Jake on Jets Collective. Obviously, go like and subscribe it. Help us out a little bit if you want to follow that stuff. Where I really think that because there's such an unknown here that I think that you've got to be overly proactive to send out some smoke screens to entice somebody to, wow, the Jets do. Maybe they really do like Bailey. Man, we like Bailey. We didn't think the Jets were taking him at 2. Let's engage the Jets. That's one aspect of it. And the other aspect too, just on an NFL macro level, is that so many of these general managers are getting younger. And listen, the older guys are getting phased out. It's a young man's game, like most of the things are, right? In sports, baseball, analytically driven. Stearns is young. Cashman's been around forever, to the chagrin of a lot of Yankee fans. But most of these GMs are younger, more numbers oriented, a lot of Ivy Leaguers. The point is that most of these personnel people, decision makers, like the guys with juice, hey, I want to make a trade. I've got the authority to do it. A lot of them grew up on Madden and video games and wheeling and dealing and fantasy football. So their brains are already pre-programmed to kind of operate that way. And now you get a little bit of a mixed bag at certain positions where nobody really knows who the favorite is. I agree. I saw this report last night. I agree. I agree. Kids are still home from school. I agree that you are going to get some of this. So should be fun. All right. What does that say? At Giants, Giants 4 rings 88. 4 more than me, buddy. 4 more than me. After the draft, BT predicts the Jets can do no damage and make a wild card. The Jets can do damage. Yeah. Well, that's a pretty accurate scouting report there. Pretty much hypes himself into the same prediction every year as the season gets closer. Isn't that an annual rite of passage? And the funny thing is, I'm not a homer. Like, there are certain people who do this for a living who really are homers. Listen, I'll put my hit pieces up against anybody in the business. I don't care if you're on the radio. I don't care if you're on YouTube. I don't care if you're in the Northeast, if you're out West. I don't care where you are, what you do, or what you talk about. When I let loose, I let loose. So I'm never a homer throughout. But yes, I do choose to gravitate to the more optimistic side. Like, why not? Like, if you can't at least start the season optimistically, then what are we doing? That just seems like a life of misery. Trust me, it's going to get miserable enough soon enough, for the Jets. So why not embrace it? I don't do it every single year. But I did do it last year, and I do it a lot of years. And listen, it's been 15 years since they made the playoffs here. And I would say of the 15 years, maybe outside of year 2 with Gase, at the end of the Todd Bowles era, Maybe 1 year with Solid. I don't know. I even think I was encouraged with Solid because of the defense. I'd say probably 12 of the 15 years I presented a more positive than not possible roadmap for the Jets, and I was wrong every time. What do you want? All right, if we take Reese and then trade up 10 for Downs, then move back from 33 for a third-round pick, wouldn't that combination of players be more impactful than stick and pick? That's part of the deal, too. Yes, that's a lot there. Just keep that up, Jay. So if you take Reese at 2, and then you trade up from 16 to 10, and you get Downs, and then move back. Yeah, but now the only thing is, moving back from what, 16 to 30? Wait, move back from 33. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's a plausible scenario. We were talking about that last night. Jake brought that up. It's a little convoluted because you just don't know who's interested in trading. But I don't think the Jets are touching any of their picks for 2027. They'd be idiots to do that. Nobody's worth it this draft here. But if the Jets trade out of 2, wouldn't surprise me. If they trade up from 16, wouldn't surprise me. If they trade up back from 16, wouldn't surprise me. If they trade up from 33, if they think somebody might snag Simpson or something else, wouldn't surprise me. Yes, a lot of different machinations here. And that's what, listen, and the Jets aren't the only team that now they happen to have a lot of draft capital. And next year they'll absolutely own the draft with 3 first-round picks, do whatever they want. But yeah, this is about building a base of elite talent. And one thing I don't get, and the quarterback position aside, it's obviously a completely different measurement, but I just, and Rich and I seem to fundamentally disagree on this. It seems to come up during the first 3 episodes a little bit, right? Where I am of the mindset, I don't want to hear about draft value, reaching, I understand maybe it's a little different with a running back, and certainly in New York, we went through this with Saquon. Jeremiah Love might happen again, maybe not with them, but he's going to get drafted probably at 4 by Tennessee, and if not, shortly thereafter by somebody. Maybe the Giants at 5, who knows? Point is that if I think Caleb Downs, they got to be right in this assertion and these assessments, but if I think Caleb Downs is going to be a superstar, right? Gives a shit where you pick him. What is the difference? Now he's going to make a few bucks more. And now, obviously, if he really is the guy, and of course, then you pick up his 5th-year option, and then he's a free agent, and then you're going to be paying him an exorbitant amount of money as a safety. Okay. But if he's a superstar, transcendent player, I don't care what I pay him. So that fundamentally, I disagree on that. And it's kind of split. I think some people are with me, and I think some people aren't. I'm not looking for positional value, even with Ty Simpson. Now they're not taking him at 16. I'd be stunned. If they did, right? Because you hear a lot of a little bit too early for Ty Simpson at 16. But if the Jets could trade into the back end of the first round, or even go backwards from 16 to 24, 25, or first pick in round 2, 33, take them there. It's better. All right. Yeah, I understand monetarily. I get the impact. That's basic stuff. But I think if you subscribe to that thought, I think you're missing it, because at the end of the day, whether it's 16, 22, 27, 33, or 35, you're drafting Ty Simpson to eventually be your starter. And if he's good enough and he's the real deal, he's eventually going to get $100 million from the Jets. So I just, I don't lean into that. I just have a different mindset. All right, J-Rod, what do you have on the calendar this weekend, buddy? Any performances?
Let's see. Nothing much, honestly. Just going out. We'll see. Let's have a good time this weekend. See what's up. Tonight, I don't know. I'm going to a concert at the Bitter End in the West Village.
I think I've been there. The Bitter End.
You definitely have.
Been there.
It's a nicer spot. It's like a
Is it on the corner?
Yeah, it's probably close to 345 Hudson or whatever.
I've been there. I know what you're talking about. Yep, it's on the corner, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you're going north, say if you're going down Hudson, and I pass 345 Hudson on my left, it's a couple of it's a couple of blocks going away from the Holland Tunnel, correct?
Yep. Yes.
I've definitely been there. Yep.
Cool.
I know it's been a while ago. I was never there when I was at FAN or nationally. I was there years ago.
Wow.
It's been around a long time, man.
Yeah.
Good time. Small venue, cool spot.
Yeah. One of my friends, I guess, just a couple degrees of separation down the line. My roommate's got some buddies playing there. So
All right, man.
Let's see what's up this weekend.
I love it. I'll have a good time. Hopefully you get a little lucky, if you know what I'm saying there,
Yes,
man.
sir.
A little Daft Punk, lucky up all night to get some. What's that?
Great reference.
You like
Get
that?
lucky. Yeah, that's a great reference.
I'm
Good
not an old
song.
man yet, bro. Trust me. The
No.
mind is still firing, brother. I've got, what do I have? This is my schedule,
what
and
do
I
you got?
love it. No, I got all things that I want to do. So what time is it here? It's about 11:50 or something like that. My son's got a hitting lesson at 1, so I'll take him over for that.
Nice.
Like a private, like a one-on-one thing. And then my daughter's got her first travel softball game tonight at 5:30.
Fun.
And then my son's got a PG tournament this weekend. The only thing about, so you play 2 games on Saturday, pool play, and then you come back Sunday, depending upon how you do. And they generally do well. So, but you never know. Like, you're guaranteed to play at least 3 games. So, but you could also play 5 or 6.
Sure.
So we'll see about that. Only problem is that it's 2 hours from our home.
Okay.
And I mean, listen, it is what it is. But generally, PG is never like Staten Island or, some other spots in Jersey. It's really never quite this far. It's actually 2 hours and 9 minutes, bro. So it's going to be a hike, man. 2 hours. Now, the good thing is, and you get remember I told you the other day, you don't get the schedule before the season. You kind of get it through the website.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on Game Changer is like the week of. They got a pretty good draw. Like there's some teams playing 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow that are in this tournament. And if we're playing at 8, they got to be there at 6 in the hitting cage. I'm getting up at 3:30, 4 to get his ass out there. Thank God that's not. No, that's not the case. He's playing at 2. And then he's playing at 6. So they'll play a game, then they'll rest a little bit, then they'll play another game. But 6 to 8, then back home, 10:15, 10:30. Now, if they don't do well, then they're back on Sunday in an elimination game at like 8 or 9. So it could be what I am avoiding tomorrow. But all baseball, all softball. That's it, man. Maybe get a little workout today, kind of get back in the groove. That's it. Looking forward to it. Weather's nice. Played a little golf the other day. I am surprised that even though my cut, which is starting to heal, which I had to do surgery on myself with a little push pin because the tweezers weren't working from the piece of the splinter I got from the wood, and it was affecting that. That's my excuse, J-Rod. It was impacting how I was holding the club. That's why I didn't play well the other day. And obviously, I'm going to watch a lot of Masters this week as well. But I did get to play golf, and I'm surprised that my body outside of my finger does not hurt because those are muscles like you can lift and you can do some. Not some workout freak here, but twice, 3 times a week, I get after a little bit, as much as I could. I got stuff in the basement, right? But swinging a golf club, especially swinging a golf club wrong, like I do, where body, like I'm engaging things I haven't engaged, like whether it's the ribs or certain muscles that I haven't stretched since the last golf season. I actually feel pretty good. I'm not. I thought I would really be in pain. I'm not. It's a good sign.
There we go.
Love it.
We're in for a great season.
Yeah, man. Well, season. I mean, a great season would be gravy. All right, man. Have a good time doing your thing tonight. Appreciate you guys. Like it, subscribe it, get it out there. Good job on a No Rules Friday. Good questions. Good support. Obviously, like it and share it. Let everybody know. Give the Jets Collective a sub. Give that a share. Give that a like. Jump into the content. Obviously, 13 days from the draft now. We'll move forward more and more. Couple of the guests next week. I'll tell you more about that. Maybe I'll text that or tweet that. Well, I'm not going to text it to you. I'll tweet that over the weekend. I'm working on a couple of guests for next week. Some NFL draft. Obviously, I want to get Booney on. And he said he's going to come on. He just wanted to get some games under his belt. I was going to reach out yesterday, but I didn't think that was the time to reach out when they got one hit and they lost. And Bednar coughed it up a little bit. So I wasn't going to reach out yesterday, but we'll get him on soon. And that's it. Want to wish everybody a great weekend. Enjoy it. All right. Weather's good in the Northeast. Have a great time. Appreciate the support, and I will catch you guys on Monday unless something breaks, obviously, before then. I'll see you. Bye-bye.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney, is my 2.